Good morning, it's John Morgan here. So I wanted to make a message to all of you coaches in this group because it's been 2 years today since I first emailed my coach, Rich Litvin. And it's been a crazy 2 years, and I know that the place that I was in when I first contacted him, and even shortly thereafter as well, was really difficult and really challenging, and I had dreams and I had vision, but the reality of my life was much different. Whereas today, all the stuff that I envisioned at that point, that I dreamed of, I'm living. And so I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about my journey, because I know that for the point that you're at right now, it helps to give you faith that it's possible for you too. So 24th of June 2012, I emailed Rich because I had heard him on an MP3 interview. And I said, hey, I'd like to grab that PDF you mentioned about creating clients. And in classic Rich style, I got back an email. John, call me, a phone number. Okay, well, I'm in Morocco right now, here in California. Anyway, long story short, we ended up in conversation via email, ended up speaking with him, and that conversation blew my mind. It turned my world upside down. And my whole approach to creating coaching clients at that time, I think, oh my God, I need to change this. Not just I need to, it feels right. This feels right. I believe in what he's saying. It just feels true. And so I shifted my way of working. At that point, I was getting by as a coach, but not doing very well. I think I brought in something like $20,000 in the past year. I also had a little bit of outside income, but $20,000 as a coach. And that was my primary focus in the previous 12 months. And then started working with Rich, not even working with him yet, just emailing me, helping me out, challenging me. And it got worse. I did his the 100 Conversations project. I was having loads of conversations, I did more coaching in the months following my first contact with Rich than I'd ever done in my life. But I was making huge, bold proposals, 20,000, 15,000, and everyone was saying no. The first 75 people all said no. My wife was like, what are you doing? She was at the time my girlfriend. You've been working and working. You're making less money now than you were before you met Rich. What are you doing? And I actually found an email from a few months thereafter from first reaching out to Rich. And the subject of the email is called A Cold Sweat. I'll include the text of the email with this. But it gives you a little bit of a picture about where I was actually at and what was happening. And it was a struggle. It was hard. And the thing, more than anything, there's loads of stuff, insights from Rich and perspectives and challenges. But the thing that really, more than anything, that got me from there to where I am now, I'll tell you about in a sec, was Rich believing in me more than I believed in myself. Having somebody who's kind of been down that path in their own way, and who talks to you and looks at you and spends time with you and says to you that they believe that you can do it. It sounds so basic and so simple, but that was huge for me. That faith in me gave me faith in possibility. And Rich and I have talked about this a lot. It's like, you don't need to believe in something full-heartedly. You don't need to know it in your soul that it's possible. But in my opinion, you need just a little bit of faith. It's just need a little bit of a sense that, there's some sense that maybe that could even happen. That's what faith is. Not knowing, but faith. Just like, God, something feels right. Something feels true about this. And that's all I had when I first discovered Rich, and before he even had the brand, The Prosperous Coach. But this same ideology, it's like something feels right and true about just serving, and slowing down. That's Rich's mantra to me. Slow down, John. He told me to get it tattooed on me. And something felt so true and right about it. And so doing that over and over and over again throughout the years, those 2 years following, the two years previous to today, since I first met Rich, that's all I've done. And just, white knuckle service, just over and over and over again. I've coached hundreds of people in the past couple of years. I've spent 1 or 2 hours in deep, powerful conversation with hundreds of different people. A handful of those have become clients. 2, 3 dozen, I'm not sure of the number. But now, 2 years later, pulled up my income tracking on my accounting software. The previous 12 months to today, I brought in $200,000 from coaching fees. Now, this actually blew my mind. I opened up my accounting software the other day because I was supposed to meet with my bookkeeper, and I was just fiddling around and looking at reports, and I looked at the last 12 months and I was like, $200,000? What? How's that? No, something's wrong. That must not be right. Because I don't know where the money is. I spent it somehow. I've got a little bit of savings, but not a fraction of $200,000 as you would expect. You expect when you bring that much money in 12 months, you have a whole bunch of money in the bank, but somehow it's disappeared. Because get some coaching around that. But anyway, it blew my mind. I was like, holy crap, but check, of course it was right. Accounting setup, it's right. But I think the fact that I didn't notice is an important testament to this approach. It sneaks up on you, the income. You just focus on serving and slowing down and impacting and proposing over and over and over again, and you just watch the actions that you're doing over and over and over again. And this is the thing, tenacity. Are you going to stick with it? Are you going to stay in the game? Are you going to keep going? Because the truth is, most people just drop out because they don't want to work that hard for that long without seeing the results. The only way you get from here to the end, that place that you're trying to get to is your faith, your willingness to stick with it anyway, to commit. And so really this video is just a message to you to say, for wherever you're at right now, if you're in a cold sweat, if you're broke, if you're coaching your ass off and no money's coming in, stick with it. Stick with it. Stick with it. If I hadn't stuck with it, I wouldn't be here making this video. I wouldn't be, well, okay, actually see, I made the money, I spent it, I've had an amazing year. My wife and I got married in a beautiful place, had a beautiful wedding. We've been traveling the world. We gave up our flat in London. We've been out to Asia, to Australia. We're on our way to America now. I'm just staying in London for a bit here, just outside London. And we're all over the world, and I'm working at the same time. I'm coaching 3 days a week, 3 weeks a month. I've got a handful of amazing clients. I've got a small group of apprentices that I work with. And it's my life, and it's just that is what I wanted to create, and here I am. And I owe so much to you, Rich, for your willingness to not only share this idea, but to model it, to be not just a coach, but a mentor. One thing that Rich said to me once at the end of one of our coaching calls, we had a kind of really deep conversation. He said, before we hung up, there was like a pause, and he said, "I love you, John." And I was just kind of caught off guard for a minute, because dudes don't really say that to each other usually, but it just felt actually so true. And I said, "I love you too, Rich." And those aren't just words. I say all the time to my apprentices, like, coaching is about more than friendship. It's about something deeper and more powerful than a social relationship. It's intimate, and there's love there, and it's love in the form of service. And it's often uncomfortable, and it's often challenging, and thank you for your love, Rich. I really appreciate it. As you know, looking forward to seeing you in July. And to everyone else that's out there, all you need to do is love people and serve them harder than anybody's ever been willing to, and to do it with a tenacity and a consistency longer than you've ever been willing to before. If you do that, you'll be creating a tenfold income in due course as well. I can guarantee that if you stick with love and you stick with tenacity, it will come back to you. Much love.